Greetings, Jedi traders. David here of TradingFibs.com. There we go. To bring you the daily trend for June 14th, 2017. It is week 24, day 4. Hey, as always, please seek financial advisement when trading with your money, as these videos are for educational purposes only. To support your knowledge in the market, see what was going through my head on any given day. Always make sure you have a solid trading plan and always manage your stop when placing a trade. All right, let's get started. It was FOMC today, guys. FOMC announcement today. And before we get started, our thoughts out to unfortunate events here in the news today, as not only the West London high-rise fire, if you saw that happening over there overseas, including the tragedy of people lost, including our own tragedy here in Washington today, as well as actually an incident out in San Francisco later this afternoon. So let's just jump into the charts. Let's take a look at the technicals. Again, a wild market here overall. You know, the overnight trend as markets, let's just go ahead and pull up the charts here to begin with. We could see the overnight Globex trend was already in a move. And again, that wasn't necessarily the Globex. That was pre-market. We had a little bit of econ data out this morning, CPI and retail sales, and the GC, the 6J, and the 6E, each respectively, popping above their Globex highs already. Markets open there and already in a nice trend as each individual chart. You can see here both on the crossovers here on the GC. This is the yen. Nice moving trend. And again, when we're talking about the highest probability, whether it's to the short or to the long, we're looking for price action to be underneath for the highest possible trend in sync with as many charts as possible, which for me is the 534 EMA and the 5144 EMA as well. All right, so we had not only that, but the 6E as well in trend to the upside. So nice pre-market open there, as really the NQ actually was most overall the indices in a move over the last couple days after the drop down last week, most severe on the NQ. But AM session Globex was up, but no real follow through the upside as markets just simply started to turn down, and no follow through with actually being quite choppy. PM session, there was the FOMC announcement. Markets waiting for that and simply sent the momentum downside on all the indices here, as really the NQ led the sell-off, followed by the ES. YM kind of lagging, not really getting that deep drawdown, and eventually all of them popping up but still finishing downside underneath today's open, so giving us the momentum for the down overall. CL, again, nice move. We'll take a look at the chart here today, and the three trio there, finding not only the pre-market move, but actually afternoon session, finding traction to the downside. Almost a more volatile reaction to the market based on the FOMC announcement. All right, I forgot to mention VIX closing out here. Actually closed out here at 1064. So we'll get that posted here. In core sector list, we had 10 in the green and 15 in the red. There's the econ highlights. There's the number. EIA, again, crude report. Inventories fell. You would have thought differently, but crude decides to keep moving down, getting down to that gap. We'll show that on the charts as well. There's your news, and there's your overall trend. All right, let's jump into the fundamentals, and then we'll go through some of the highlighted charts here today and then see where we are. It's midweek, so we'll go ahead and take a look at the entire screen share where we are current MML-wise in relation to the key moving averages and Murray math levels. Today's overall market action, again, week high is NQ really couldn't push above that highs of the Globex session, so market action ended up putting a majority of it at the high here, and then slid down long single prints downside. So we got a weak high up here on the NQ, which at some point should come and repair as the NQ is drawn down. ES, not a bad profile, a little bit weaker at the lows here, but pretty good balanced profile. Not really selling off in any way as we've seen here. Let's jump right into the open gaps chart that I use here. Again, these are regular trading hours. So you can see even as NQ slides here, YM and ES not playing by the same rules here. Again, the arrow indicating the next open gap after ES actually opening up a gap here at 24.2750 takes care of business today. All-time high still sitting. YM actually knocking out an all-time high here today, 21.3345. So we can add that to our recap here. But NQ sliding back a little bit as it has been off the all-time high here of last week. And so again, keep that in mind. ES and YM not relenting to the downside. And here you can see again on the market profile, good strong value area still holding upside. So ES holding up on its own. AD lines again a little bit quiet on the YM. As you can see, YM really didn't pull upside much. So actually, I apologize. It did pull up, but didn't really sell off. ES, on the other hand, again, slipping a little bit there with the NQ in the PM session, but overall could not really get. That was our little push up there up to the outlier 90 as the overall Globex had already pushed up, but eventually worked its way down here right to the outlier, negative 70 as usual. And that was a good indicator that market had pretty much found its bottom there at around between 3 and 330. So if you put that together with the trend charts, you'll see that market action really never followed through more to the downside. All right, let's go to the big charts for the session. Then we'll get into some single setups. Here you go, ES. Again, big picture, I said, really never got a move upside. Highest probability entry, you're looking for everything to be in sync. So you got a little bit of a mid-AM session move on the ES. The hardest, and I pointed this out in the trading room today, the hardest thing was really getting a move on the ES on trade management. Again, it took a little bit deeper pullbacks, no change in the time frame, 5-4 flex Renko, but there it was to the downside, nice move. Again, if you caught the move from the early get-go, pullback might have just taken you out in trade management. What I want you to notice is that the tails on some of these candles just made the ES a little bit challenging here. Market action through the PM session. Just might as well wait for the FOMC announcement. And there was your first highest probability setups and to the downside. If you were able to keep that stop at break even, you would have been able to manage those deeper pullbacks until ES came down. That's right, to the MML low, which on the charts I had down here at 24.2975. Let me slide that chart here. Right there, 5-minute ES chart. There it was, 24.2975, and to the oversold. And ES found its way back upside. All right, let's take a look at the NQ full session here. I went to a higher time frame chart. Again, I'll show you some of the lower time frame charts here this morning on the NQ, but again, challenging to get anything going on a trend here. So, you know, either your best shot was stick to the higher time frame, number one, that would have kept you out of some trouble. Two is you just simply waited until FOMC announcement came, or you simply scalped it. After it didn't take long to realize that the market wasn't really moving anywhere, and we were really range bound. Actually, we were range bound by the MMLs this morning, so trading the MML levels might not have done so bad for you either. But either way, it was the highest probability setups in the afternoon. No bias, guys. Whatever you decided the market should do today based on the FOMC announcement, which decided to raise the interest rate and the forward projection, the trajectory and balance sheet, whatever that was, markets decided to do one thing, and that was sell off. So there's your FOMC announcement. Hey, maybe you took the scalp to the upside. You tried to get a trend, didn't work out, but to the downside. That was your highest probability. News conference at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, and you got your next sell, whether you got a piece of this. Now, the question was, what happened down here? Well, we hit an MML low. That's one after a couple resets, but price action gets all the way down on the higher time frame. Smaller time frame, there were numerous setups. How do you know this one's not going to run? You don't. But on the higher time frame, at least it didn't get you caught on some of the setups to the downside that were hopefully would have prompted to move lower, but it kept you out of the short, and maybe, just maybe, you took the move off the lows. That's how you could have found a potential move off the lows since it lined up with the MMLs. Again, highest probability setups on the higher time frame right here 1, 2, 3. And we'll go ahead and take a look at some of the smaller time frames here this morning on the NQ. But 15-tick chart, PM session, very nice move on the NQ. As I mentioned before, the NQ was the one that moved down the most. All right, YM, I said, didn't move much. Very similar to the ES action this morning. You got yourself a short setup. Pullbacks, deep pullbacks, enough to take you out of trade management. Maybe you got yourself a nice little setup there on the first hour of trading. Price action, not much until the PM session. Got a little bit of action pop up there on the FOMC, but a little bit of a sell-off here together with the rest of the market, but not as deep. And then YM lifts back upside. And like we said, all-time highs there on the YM today. All right, so we mentioned also the CL. I wanted to give a shout out to the CL chart here as crude. Nice move on the EIA report. Get another great example. Not everything being in sync. Maybe you waited until here, until all the charts were there. That's okay. EIA report, price action out. Again, that was pretty quick. Remember, report comes out, data moves pretty quick. Maybe you didn't get a setup on the charts, but here, once you got the pullback, nice move on the crude to the downside. Didn't have to worry about any of those long tails on the crude. All right, so CL, I believe, let's see if I had a chart. I might not have actually had a chart this morning. I apologize. I'll actually go to a 10-7 here in a little bit. But other charts, again, 6E. Again, there was that nice move this morning that I showed you at the beginning, and 6E just didn't want to play. So got to be ready. That's the big picture. Got to be ready on price action on any given day in both directions. All right, we already mentioned the NQ. There was the move taken after the couple of downslides. Market action hadn't bounced here as we were watching the MML levels, the Murray Math levels. Let me just go ahead and show you. I'll show you the 10-minute chart here, 5703. So if you see down here, it would be around this area as price action headed down past the 5703 and found its way back upside off the MML. So again, like we've said before, a nice way, that combination of those MML charts to find those lows. So if the 15-tick chart wasn't turning around, as I showed you before, let me go ahead and pull that up again. Here it is. So price action ended up coming down here. You got 5703, and I'm not saying you caught the low of the low, but you know from a 15-tick chart, we're not headed back down, and you got that MML level. That would have been an opportunity for you if that's your trading strategy and if you wanted to take the long. All right, so last two charts of interest here. Again, this is the screenshot that I look at every day, and you'll notice here this is already post-FOMC. Yellen is speaking, and what's happening here? That's right. On the charts, I got GC, 6J, the yen, and the euro all downside together with the indices. They don't all run together like that. That's an anomaly on the chart. So something's got to give, and that's exactly what happened. The three charts on the bottom ended up lifting up. All right. Also, appreciate the YM there on the MML. Just another example of a combined strategy. You saw it on the range chart, but here it is. MML on FOMC announcement. Comes all the way down to MML low here at 21,250 and the bounce right back upside. Again, you don't have to wait for a 5-minute bar. You can watch the range bars. As long as it closed above here at 250, you got yourself an entry to the upside. All right, so there's the highlighted charts. Let's jump right in. I'm going to go right to the NQ because I promised you I wanted to look at the 10-7 this morning. So this is a 15-tick chart. Let's go to a 10-7 chart. There we go. There's our AM session. This one's made it a little bit of a challenge here this morning. Is trying to get a setup. So again, you could have stuck to the higher time frame. If you'll see here, price action on the NQ again was trying to move up this morning, but unable to hold. You got the moving average crossover. Price action gets underneath the cloud, 51.44. You're lined up, and you get a nice move to the downside. Unfortunately, it didn't hold. It went pop back up and would have taken you out of your setup, or at least your stop, which most likely might have been anywhere from here, 57, 67 and downside. You'll see price action again, very choppy, trying to get a trend here. Again, some of these moves this morning, as long as your trade management was far back enough, if the stop was far back, and I know traders a lot of times are challenged by how far back they're going to put their stop. Again, swing size is my strategy. Comes from the Fibonacci trading days, the swing size stop, which is point C if you know your fibs. Point A, point B, point C. Point C is the swing position, And that doesn't mean you let your stop come all the way back. You monitor price action. You monitor the overall big trend, which says we're all in the red. So we're all in the red. So the probability heading to the downside is still there. Again, it's not a strategy you take right off the pages of my e-manual or my trading rules page. It takes a while, sometimes just to understand market flow. And you can see here at some point you just said hands off. This is the first hour of trading. You saw that we were range bound. And again, by the MMLs, you're right. We had a nice move here. I didn't take any pictures this morning of the MML shots on the charts, but that's how price action ran through on the NQ this morning. Lots of tough price action here up to the PM session. All right, and it's okay. Sometimes your market's not moving. You decide, hey, it's not moving on the NQ. It's not moving on the ES or YM. I'm going to trade something else. Nothing wrong with that. You could have popped over to the crude if that's your market. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at as we roll into tomorrow. We'll start here with the NQ. Again, if you remember, I mentioned on my technical momentum outlook from the beginning of the week, NQ was going to do one of two things. Either it was going to move downside, test the support at the 50. If it lost support there and the zone low here of the MMLs, it was going back down to open gaps. 200 period moving average got a lot of levels downside, but we've played it out exactly as I thought. We found support here at the 50. I said it was an 80-point drive back upside here to the 10. That's exactly where we rebounded. And look, voila, we came back down, tested the support here. So NQ, yes, giving back some of that movement to the downside, giving some of that movement back to the downside. But again, NQ still holding here above the MML. So momentum on a pullback here. Again, even if the 20 tick range chart's not working you, or the 15 tick or the 10 tick, here was a 50 tick range chart, which gave you overall movement to the downside, even on a long tail. Here on the bigger charts, as we lost momentum underneath the T34, just another way to stay in the trend for the long term. So again, bigger picture, watch for price action. There's your resistance. Keep that in mind, 57.81. Watch for the Globex follow through. Watch for that 50 period moving average, including the zone low. All right, ES, again, big picture, zone high, as we are holding above the 10 period moving average, so that's good for short-term momentum. I got all the way up here to 45.25. Yes, we're rolling out into quad witch, so still a lot of healthy volume across both contracts. So all that volume still in the June contract has not shifted over to the September contract, so you can only imagine what's going to happen next week. All right, so there's your big picture. Watch for that 10 EMA downside. YM, zone high. YM holding up. Got some high highs today. Holding still above the T34. I got to still go with the momentum. YM on the upside as 50% pullback here at 21.250. And then anything less, watch for that 10 EMA support. All right, it's midweek. I mentioned we'd take a look at the bigger picture. There was your crude downside. Really healthy move on the indices. And bigger picture, still the same as last week. We're holding downside, Jedi traders. We have an open gap there on the CL. There it is, 44.25. Seems like we're headed down there and almost missing, almost coming close to getting that gap today. So CL, there it is, 44.25 would put us down in the zone low. Momentum is holding underneath all the key moving averages, 10, 50, and 200 as they are. That's right, they're all above. There they are at the tops. And then you can see here on the range chart, finding that support and still headed downside on the crude. I cannot change the momentum for you on that one. GC, there it was. Again, Globex move upside and nice trend to the downside. A lot cleaner than that NQ morning chop. So again, some small tails doesn't help in this kind of market. Sometimes you just got to keep that stop a little bit further back, especially if you have all the charts in sync. That's what it's going to take to succeed on a trade like this. I can't change what you don't have control over. Again, NQ, kind of a tight bunch as it's testing both ranges of the MML. So keep those zones in mind. Watch the 10 EMA. Again, momentum takes us all the way down to the 50, but we find the bounce there. So NQ, as long as we hold above the 50 here, it's not in support. The momentum is to the downside on the gold as we hold here in the red. We'll have to watch the Globex and reassess in the morning. But right now, momentum definitely to the downside, and we'll see if we hold above on the 50. Quick look at the 6J. Again, yen, nice move upside. Came back, pulled back here. Not anything smooth, but at least that pre-market move on the 6J was a nice one. 6J again holding above the three key moving averages, so I got to go with the uptrend. But on a range chart, we're definitely battling to the downside. 51.44 still in the green, so hasn't changed direction here. Zone high, zone low. So a little bit of a quandary. So your best bet is just to wait intraday, but bigger overall picture, momentum still is upside, even though we are in a pullback. And the 6E, again, nice move. There it was, the Euro open, and right back downside. Couldn't make up its mind here today, 6E. So currently, MML-wise, 10 EMA is the line in the sand. Yep, we get the lift up, and we bring it right back down off the MML highs. So you can see we're on the bigger picture. 60-minute charts is really helping. Momentum to the upsides here as the 50 and the 200 all the way down there at the $1.79. So bring it up here as we do hold above at the 10 here for this week. Kind of shuffling sideways, and price action though on the pullback here. So momentum, we'll see if it holds here at the 10 leading into tomorrow. But right now, we're leaking downwards on the 6E. All right, let's check in with the economic calendar for tomorrow. Jobless claims out, Philly Fed, a couple Red Star events, and fallout here from the FOMC. We'll see how that plays out as we roll out the week to quad witching. All right, Jedi traders, took a little extra time to run over the charts, but that's it. That's the insight in the daily trend and key technical momentum on the charts that I watch, those indices and key futures markets on the screen share. Hey, guys, you can find me every day on Twitter. Also, you can feel free to stop by here at tradingfibs.com. I got plenty of wonderful posts, including the pre-market trend, including the technical momentum outlook, including my 3-part webinar that I did for Infinity Futures. You can go ahead and check that out on creating a solid trading plan for the months, weeks, and years ahead as a trader. Like I said, you can find me every day on Twitter at tradingfibs. Feel free to follow me there or any of my social media outlets to obtain more information. You know the key chart here. I'm going to show it to you again every day. One simple strategy, any market, any chart, any time frame will keep you disciplined, whether it's Forex, whether it's stocks, whether it's ETFs, or including options if you're following a chart. Looking for the highest probability setup. And what else? Follow free. Also, you can follow me on StockTwits. It's another website also that I post at. And again, I keep my bias. I keep my bias out of the market. I only trade or watch the setups in front of me and on my charts. And as always, I just simply leave the crystal ball to the experts. All right. Also, last, if you're interested in joining us, like-minded traders in the trading room, feel free to email me, David at Trading Fibs. You can join us any Thursday or Friday. All right, Jedi traders, a big, long recap here today. But again, wanted to cover it all. Hopefully, you got a good sense of where the overall momentum is. Again, I can't reassert and reaffirm and all the other good words to the fact that you have to leave your bias out of the trading room. You gotta, or trading charts. You gotta watch the charts in front of you, watch the trend, regardless of where you thought the markets should be. So until then, have yourselves a blue zone day wherever you may be. Again, our thoughts out to all those who perished in that London fire, and to all the families that have been displaced, and to obviously the mayhem at the baseball practice in Washington, to our representatives. Again, when it comes down to life, there are no political sides. It's just us people. Maybe we can learn some lessons from that and stop all the bickering. And to all those that the tragedy there in San Francisco this afternoon. So until then, have yourselves again a blue zone day. Have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good night. David from Trading Fibs wishing you all good trading to you.